How many strokes to tokes that we spoke in a vapor, kind of like smoke, but also in the same desire to elope. I remember times I wanted to sit down and say, let me explain this to you. But now I'm like, can I write this letter for you? Because there are parts of me that are unexplainable, but if I spend a little more time describing them, I can paint the perfect picture for you. It'll be explicit, but with implicit overtones, undertones, relevant tones, kind of like earth tones, the color life is made with. Breath is made with, and we continuously flow in and out. With each stroke of the pen, something else is denoted, kind of like those moments where the periods ends and sentences, but also pause like semicolons. It connects, but at the same time, it stops just for a moment because it could be a complete thought all on its own. We want to make sure it gives the proper introduction, like a colon. We're freezing a phrase in time. This is life. I just want to know, can I write for you? Can I really sit down and let you know what's in my heart? Can I explain things differently? Can I tie words together that normally don't come together but complement in a way that gives a complementary story? Not just a story, but painting, not just pictures, but moments. Moments painted with us, moments sketched from my life experiences, taking us on a new kind of journey. What's that word? What's that song? What does that mean? Have you seen that movie? Can we get just a little groovy? Groovy. It's soothing like a smoothie. And we're soothing together as we create this new level, as we congratulate, elevate a new state, as we modulate once again to revelate. But it's not too late because this is my soulmate. My soul made it this way. Can we just stay? I mean, really stay in this moment. Twin flames melted together, a new level as we echo and complement one another. The yin and the yang, we was meant for this thing. This how words just come together, sometimes as slang, but we can really just sing this because this is hanging on to something else. Can I just write? Can I get every moment out? Can I just write? Can I tell you how I feel even when I don't know how I feel? Can I just write? Can I just write? Can I just write? Can I just write?
Welcome back to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast, the place where poetry meets conversation. I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and before we get into today's topic, make sure you hit that plus sign so you don't miss an episode. Also, please subscribe to my blog, thebrownssugarcafe.blog, and if you find any value in this episode or any other episodes, make sure you leave a heartfelt review. So with that being said, let's get to it. Woo! Go ahead and introduce yourself, man.
What's going on, good people? I'm Dwayne Garnett, love advocate, value based educator, and founder of Love is a Parable, a creative by all design. I just let creativity flow from me, and I'm definitely a poet. Came out of retirement because I felt the need to transcribe some things that I was going through in my latest book, Can I Just Write?
First of all, welcome back to the show. It has been a minute. Congratulations on this book. Can I just write? And I feel like, and I have to go back and listen to the episode, but I feel like we talked about, because this isn't your first poetry book. I don't know if you want to mention that other one because you you have some unkind words about that book, but we talked about that, and I really feel like it might have been on this show, it might have been on one of your shows, but I feel like we talked about it and you was like, nah, that's it. And here we are with this collection, man. Before we get into that piece you opened up with, what was the inspiration behind that?
To be honest, tired of talking. At that time, I was going through so much. from dealing with my divorce, how I was feeling about stuff, parenting. I mean, the list goes on and on. And it got to a point where people don't mean any harm, but you get tired of explaining your story and you're like, oh, I wish I could just write this down and give
Yeah.
the same message to everyone. So when you ask questions, I already have the pre-written answers. And that's where the feeling came from. It was just, I'm tired of talking. I'm tired of explaining why I'm doing something or my feelings about something. So can I just write kind of came out of that vein.
Since the last time you've been on, you have been on a number of programs sharing your story and talking. So for you to say that, I completely understand because you have been doing a lot of talking, spreading, your information and sharing your story, shedding a light on different things. And this book, man, first, I just have to say, man, I'm really proud of you on this book, and I'm enjoying it. I haven't finished it yet because obviously it's poetry, so I like to sit with it and take my time. But I like to digest the poems, and sometimes I read them over right after I'm done. So I'm really enjoying this. I'm almost done, not completely done, but I'm really enjoying it. So, what made you put it in poetic form instead of just writing, like, I don't know, maybe a memoir?
Because all jokes aside, I was really writing another book. I was
Hmm.
because I went through so much through my divorce and I learned so much that my original intention was I could see how men and especially black men can get caught up in the system. And I said it would be great to kind of create some guide to help them navigate through. And so it was really going to be kind of like this guide if you're dealing with like custody, if you're dealing with divorce, if you're dealing with any type of legal issue, how to kind of navigate through. Because the interesting thing about law is even though you may not know all of it, you are expected to adhere to everything. And it is your responsibility to know the law, whether you were taught it or not. And I find it so interesting when you encounter these situations, people talk to you matter of factly, like this is something that I should just know every day. But ignorance of the law is really no excuse. And so I was writing that probably for about 2.5, maybe 3 years. And I remember driving home one day and I was in prayer and I said, I ain't gonna finish this book. And it was getting to a point where it was kind of overwhelming because I knew that I wasn't going to finish it. And I just heard the voice of what I believe to be the Heavenly Father who said, well, I didn't tell you to write the book.
Hmm.
And I said, whew, okay. I said, I need you to get back to writing poetry. And so I grabbed my voice recorder because I do a lot of voice to text because it's just so much easier. And three poems flowed just naturally, and it's so weird when I spoke the first one because a lot of these poems were actually I just literally did just straight off the dome what I was feeling, and I just was gone. I felt a great weight lift. And I remember calling two of my close friends. I said, something is different. I'm going to do a poetry book, but something is different about this. And I kept saying it. And I was like, well, how many are you going to do? I said, I feel like 30. I feel like 30 is the magic number. And a matter of fact, I think I called you about that. Like, what's a good number?
Yeah,
I
yeah,
called you and talked to you about it
yeah.
or something because this is what I feel like. Well, I'm going to stop at 30. And that's what I did. And this one just felt different from the whole creation process and all of that.
You touched on something that, like, not knowing the laws is not an excuse, and it is so
Right.
crazy how there are different laws set in place in different states. I mean,
Hmm.
you would think because we all live in the same country that wherever you go, the laws are the same. And you were speaking about custody and going through a divorce, and that reminded me. I did a research paper on black males and child support when I was in college.
Hmm.
I learned a lot from just that, and that was what, 20 something years ago. And I'm just like, does anybody else know this information?
Correct.
Because it's like it feels like, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, it feels like it's set up for men to fail. How would you say for anybody who may be going through a black male or man period going through a divorce situation or a custody situation, what resources are available for them to kind of educate themselves and navigate through the situation.
It's something that you said I want to clarify. I will go a step further when we say that it's designed for us to fail. A lot of those laws didn't even consider us. So I don't even say it's designed for us
Mm,
to fail. We weren't even considered. So sometimes we disrupt an ecosystem by introducing something. And so a lot of it was to keep you wherever you were. And that's what I felt a lot of times. And even the services that are out there, speaking of those services, a lot of the fatherhood services that are out there are the things that they're educating. They're educating you assuming you're already at a lack, meaning you already don't have the kids. You already are not seeing your kids, or
yeah.
you already having different type of scenarios. It's so funny how many of them focus on the same things like recidivism or reentry. So they're assuming that you may be a father who's been previously incarcerated, or you may be a father that doesn't have your children, or you may be a father that don't have a relationship with your children, and those services typically center around that. So when the truth be told, there are very few services for men who are in real life situations, who are actively in their children's lives, who are doing different things. So it's kind of like you can look up services, you can do a Google search, but you have to be fully aware of your situation, because a lot of times people are giving you advice from a stereotypical perspective. So you can't use those services, because sometimes it can, even though I think that those services are needed for those targeted populations, if you sometimes go there, it can make you extremely frustrated. So the first thing is realizing that once the law is introduced, you have to change the way you advocate. Self advocacy goes out the door, and law becomes your advocate. And you have to follow the legal system and begin learning it, regardless of what point you become introduced to it.
Was that difficult for you to do, to open up about your situation? Was it something that you didn't want to do and then you just felt like this calling or this need to share your story?
I won't say it was difficult. I don't know why I'm made that way. Like, I do what needs to be done. Would I prefer not to do it? Absolutely. But is it difficult for me? No. I think it was instilled in me, like, if you're gonna do something, you might as well do it.
Yeah, yeah.
And so one of those things, I've always been an advocate as far as bringing awareness to issues that most people look past. So that part was easy. The hardest part was living it. And also, I want to clarify that, like, the book does speak about my journey, but it speaks about those who are journeying, who was journeying with me, for instance. There's one like, for instance, there's one poem called Guard Your Peace. That's literally a poem of conversations that I've had with brothers, like you're included. So, like, different conversations that we've talked about. It was you and a couple other brothers, and so it's funny that all of them would reach out and say, "Dog, I feel like this," and a lot of them say that's their favorite one, because it's literally a poem about conversations that men have with men, and it's an ode to that. There are some where I have a real good friend who's a commissioner, and she lost her husband, and one day she was just telling me the story of how it feels to lose her husband. So I wrote from that. So Canada's Right talks about not just my story, but it gives light to several things can be happening at one time, where you might be the lead in your own story, but you might be a supporting actor in somebody else's. And sometimes you're just viewing, looking at it from a distance, and then at the same time bad things are happening, great celebratory wonderful things are happening, and all of this makes life. And sometimes you can't explain it, like, how am I experiencing some of the highest highs, but at the same time some of the lowest lows? But that's life. How can I need help but also be a shoulder at the same time?
Yeah.
That's life. So it's kind of a combination of all those experiences at once.
I'm glad you went there because my next question is going to be tell us about Love is a Parable for those who are not familiar. And also, during this process, how did you maintain still being a love advocate?
Hmm. Well, Love is a Parable is a nonprofit that I started in 2017. And the whole focus is really much the same. It's to show individuals how their values influence their decision making, influence how they see themselves, others, and the decisions that they make. And so we felt it was important to let people know all these organizations and everybody focuses on like leadership styles, management styles, and all of that. We help people understand how the values you have influences outcome. Sometimes it's not a bad hire. Sometimes it's not a bad policy. Sometimes it's those values that influence those outcomes. And because it was so unique, I was dubbed like the conflict navigator. A new way of looking at leadership. It's just so many different things open from that because it was so different. And what I didn't expect, because when we started it, I really wanted to focus on higher ed and the adult learner, but it transitioned to community, individuals, government, which I wasn't expecting, but I was open to it and I'm grateful for it, are all our clients. So it really works in any type of population, any type of demographic, any type of um, place of work or anything. It's like that's what's so amazing, that it's so transferable and it's so it changes. It's like a morphic in a sense where it changes form to fit the need of whatever it is. And so that's what I'm grateful for. How did I remain a love advocate? Because a lot of this came from my innermost being, and you have to be disciplined or disciple of your own work. I feel like the remember the hair guy back in the day. I'm not only the president, I'm the client.
Yeah.
I feel like that. I'm not just the creator of this. I am or the founder of this. I am also a client. I have to apply those things too. So that's why people don't realize like, can I just write is another tool now that is used to advance the mission and the vision of Love is a Parable. So it's very much a part of our mission because it's showing how values and we give them five topical values basically that are thematic throughout the book. One is literacy, because I had a learning disability and I still have that. So a person who's able to overcome a learning disability, not even overcome, learn to live with, they can still be able to write creatively and all of that, you know? And then there's Miss Andre, which is the awareness to the harms or dislikes or even contempt that some may have and prejudices toward men and boys. Another thing that we're talking about is abuse and trauma, self explanatory. But we also talk about fatherhood, and some may dovetail that into parenthood, but definitely fatherhood. But then the beauty of healing forward is the fifth value. So literacy, Miss Andrea, abuse and trauma, fatherhood, and healing forward are kind of thematic, and the constant values that we are shedding light on and how that looks, which goes to our greater mission of showing how values can influence different outcomes.
The last time you were on here, we took a deep dive into values, and that's something I never thought about when it comes to jobs and employment. Like how much our values really change how we think about things or pretty much lead how we think about things. And trying not to get too political, but so, what's going on in the world right now and with like the SNAP
What's going
benefits.
on?
Like it
Yes.
I'm reminded right now more than ever that our values are different. And it seems like people, their values have become more selective. And I don't know if it's just because they want to go against the grain and just disagree with other people. But like with the government shutdown, how some people are boldly saying it doesn't affect them. I'm just like, you do realize that there are things that affect us that we don't see immediately.
Well, I say this. My mom said something that is so true. She said this years ago. She would say, a drunk mind will speak a sober mouth.
Mm.
And so when we have times like this where we have emotions extremely high and there are so many polarizing views, I look at them all as forms of intoxication. And people are emboldened when they're under the influence to speak how they really feel. So it's not necessarily it's individuals now all of a sudden have different values. It's just that they have been given the confidence or the truth serum to speak how they truly value. And so I just take note. I'm not one of them Now, this is growth because I used to try to argue with people to get my
Yes.
point out. Like, I'd be like, man, that's just jacked
Yes,
up.
yes.
But now I choose my words.
Yeah.
I choose my words, but I also just take note. I take note of who I would want to do business with. I take note of who I will refer. I take note of who I would like to connect with. The list goes on, but I take note of that and I learn how to move. And so a lot of us is just showing us who, and some of these people we went hard for and we called our friends, but they're not your friends. They're not your friends. And if the next thing my mom used to say is there's no convincing a made up mind. So if the mind is already made up, why I'm gonna have a conversation with you about it?
Yeah.
I'm not in the business of persuading because I'm not a con artist, but I will take note. And there will come a time when there is a time for me to either speak or make a decision. And that decision it always shocks people because people think because I'm a love advocate, they think that I don't speak freely when it's appropriate. But you also are talking to a man who have stood in front of town administrators and said what I needed to say by myself. You're also talking to a man who sued a whole company by himself. You're talking about a man. Matter of fact, you were there when we used to march. We marched
Yes.
to get the flag down,
Yep.
but I was also part of the Million Teen March follow up. So the list goes on and on of the type of advocacy that I do. And I don't mind having tough conversations, but I don't put myself in anything I don't allow myself to act outside of character, act outside of me. But I say what I need to say when I feel like it is appropriate for me to say it. And so I'm not easily moved by extreme behaviors, but I do take note of what people say and I assess how they value things.
Me too. Me too. I see certain things and I want to comment, and I'm just like, nah, it's not even worth it. And like you said, just take note. We were raised that we're all here to help each other. And if you see somebody in need, and even if you can't help them financially or in some kind of way, you have to care. And that's just the basic part of being a human is caring about somebody. So it's like I was never taught to pick on. Matter of fact, I was the person who advocated for the person who was being bullied. Like I would stop the bully. Like, hey, you want to pick on somebody, pick on me, because this person's smaller than you. Come on, you bad?
You was one of them.
Yeah.
Pick on somebody your own
Yeah,
size.
I did. I hated seeing that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
So it's I don't know. It's sad, but like I'm glad I'm not the only person that feels that way. It's like it's not worth saying anything, but it's worth taking note and remembering.
Yeah. I mean, I believe in sowing good. And so sometimes people will think, "Oh, he has an ulterior motive." I don't have an ulterior motive. My motive in life is to sow good because I feel like um the natural and spiritual law of reaping and sowing is very true. And I feel like we reap what we sow. And I feel like nothing happens by mistake. I think that everything happens for a reason and it's our responsibility to learn from it and see like what lesson I'm supposed to get out of this. But also things happen to show and reveal to us things.
Mm.
So the cool thing about this is revealing a lot about the heartbeat and the pulse. I tell people sometimes the state of the world is not one person's fault. The state of the world right now is just the things that we swept under the rug that are vomiting over at this point.
Yeah.
It's the things that lay dormant. The state the way that we process and deal with things, it shows me more like when a person is upset or dealing with extreme circumstances, it shows me the core of who they are. So this is just an interesting time and I move a certain way once I understand what I'm dealing with. And social media give you a lot of great life skills. Like just like you can hit that X and unfollow people, you literally can do that in your real life. Once somebody exposes a part of themselves that you don't want to deal with, unfollow them, meaning untether yourself, unconnect yourself with them. You don't have to be connected with anyone that don't align with the things that give you life. And so I don't know why people feel the need like with me. If I see something on my timeline, I hit the X button. I can snooze for 30 or I can mute them forever until I decide. to bring them back. And that's the same thing with my phone. That's the same thing with my life. If you say things that I don't like, if you do things that I don't like and things that are unhealthy, I can untether myself from you. I can disconnect and I'm not obligated to stay connected to you. And that's it doesn't matter who it is.
Like you said, you can choose to snooze for 30 or until you feel like it, because sometimes we come across people and people that we know and they may be in a point in their lives where they're just going through something. I get that. We all have those times. You're not going to sit there and dump all of that on me and use me as your trash can. I'll give you your space to get whatever you have to get worked out. If we were to reconnect, definitely going to move different. So I completely understand, man. It's like it's with some people that I've reconnected with for like years and not talking to them, and we cool or whatever, but it'll never be the same because I forgive, but I don't forget. It's
Hmm.
just one of those things. I don't hold things against people, but I just remember.
Yep. I mean, I'm the same way. I don't know if it's a combination of forgive. There's some people I choose just not to forgive. And I know people say that's holding you prison. No, it's not. It's some people I choose not to forgive for certain reasons. If the Bible has unforgivable sins, I'm sure I can have some unforgivable things too. So there's just some things that are unforgivable for me. I don't feel a need to parade them and talk about them, but there are some people that I don't desire to be connected with no matter where they come. And I'm one of those people. So when I cut somebody off, it's not like, oh, you don't hang around them or things like that. My cutoff is really emotional connection.
Got
So
it.
I no
Yeah,
longer provide emotional capacity for individuals, and I'm able to thrive in that. And that's kind of, that's interesting that was one of the dichotomy of some of the poems in the book is that I talked about that where we have these tug of war moments or we have these things that we're juggling and they're happening simultaneously, but at the same time, you have to choose what is best for you.
that's it.
Is it survival? Is it life? But you just have to make a decision, or it's definitely going to make one for you.
So back to this book. What has the response been like for this
Don't be
book?
changing, switching gears. I'm joking. I'm joking. I'm joking.
I'm
I'm joking. I'm joking.
about to say we can keep going if you want, but
We had a
you
moment, and you was like, "Back to this
because
book."
you segue right into where I wanted to be. hey,
It's
we
like I'm tired of reflecting.
hey we can keep it going. I didn't. Hey,
I'm
I'm
joking.
about to say, hey, shoot. But back to the book, and you were talking about things could be going great at one time, things could be going bad simultaneously, and it's written in this book. So back to the book, what has the outpour been like for this book, and has anything surprised you as far as the responses go with this book?
Everything about it, bro. I honestly can say that. Like, I wasn't expecting to spend 15 weeks in the top 100 for motivational and inspirational poetry. So many people tell you, like, when you're self publishing, they tell you it's going to be hard. Now, I get it because there were moments I was feeling like Master P, like, you want a book, selling books out my trunk. And I still hate that.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
hate the whole idea of vending. I hate the whole idea of trying to persuade or convince. I don't like any form. I know I got to get over it. I know it's selling, but something about selling and persuading feels like manipulation and con artists to me. I'm not saying that that's what people are doing. That's just me.
yeah.
I struggle with that. And I'm like, get the book if you want it. I ain't got time to be going back and forth. So I realize that it's a combination of you got to sell it through. I use Amazon, but you also got to sell in your trunk to get more money. But
Yeah,
you got to be charting in order for more people to learn about it. So finding that balance was weird for me, and I did feel like a 90s R&B artist. I was like, I'm selling, I'm trending, but where's the money? I felt like Tony Braxton. I'm bankrupt. Because
no,
it's like or you remember when TLC was talking about, I remember when Left Eye Tennis Day. Well, let me explain it.
yes.
We get 2.2 on the dollar. That's what I felt like. I was like, wait a minute. Where's the money? But at the same time, I was just shocked that it was doing that and people I didn't know were purchasing the book and getting the book and for 15 weeks.
That's major.
That blew my mind. And then to be featured like um the public library to pick it up. And libraries, they are,
Yeah.
they're funny about what they put in their library. So to be put in North Carolina, Wake County's library, which is the largest county in North Carolina, and then to be put in Georgia, my home state, my hometown, those were some shocking moments. And then I think I was shocked at how many women related to the book, because in my mind I thought it was going to just pull more men to just read it anyway. But the amount of women who read it, and like the oldest one that I know of is 84, and she said like it caused her to reflect on a lot of things. I have so many people who said I started a book, I had to put it down. I had some people who were just telling me it took them on an emotional roller coaster.
Yeah.
So I know, like, before we got on, you were saying like some people who rushed through it. I had some people who said they just couldn't put it down, so they read through it. Which, for those who want to know, they say it's about a 2-hour read if you read it all the way through. That's what I've been getting from
Yeah.
those who
Yeah.
read through it.
Has to be. Yeah.
And then my mom, she read it. And so for her to relate to it, so like having family like this has been like a family thing. Like a lot of people in my family got this book. A lot of people I don't know got this book. A lot of older people. The youngest person I know who has read the book is 17. So it's just interesting how something that I thought in my mind was for a specific group is really for everybody. And so many people can relate to so many different experiences, regardless of who's the orator or the narrator of that story.
Yeah. That whenever you get feedback from an untargeted audience, it does something to you, and it lets you know that
Hmm.
you definitely were supposed to write this book. It lets you know that,
Yeah,
hey, if I didn't write this book, people would be missing out.
right. And some of y'all need to tell y'all friends to get this book so I can get back on the top 100. Just because now I'm there, I feel like a I feel like a drug addict. Like, got to get back on the top 100.
So for anybody who's interested in this book, what would you say if you could summarize it to anyone who's like, they heard our conversation and they're curious about the book? What would you say to them to make them want to grab this book right now? They should just anyway, but what would you say?
Right. I was about to say, I told you I hate selling, and now you're gonna give me a selling prompt.
Yes, sir.
If you've ever been in a place in your life where you felt like your tears spoke for you more than your words could ever, or if you've just been in a place where you feel like you're running out of words, but there's so many things that your body emotes, or even the pen can transcribe better. This is for you. If you've ever felt silenced by pain, if you struggled with the grief process, if you just are looking to carve out a place that represents you without going through all the rigmarole of trying to find the perfect way or this cookie cutter way or all of that, and you just want to exist in your beautiful space of whatever that is, it's for you. And I'll say this, like, one of the most powerful things, I had a mother whose son was dealing with some challenges, and he saw the poem Black and Blue, the video for it, and he came to his mom and said, I'm ready to talk. And they had a hard time talking about these situations, but it bridges. This is a bridge to an invitation for individuals to find themselves, but also a bridge for people to connect with others in different ways. But it also leaves a piece of me, and they get to experience a piece of me in every letter, you know? So if you're looking for an experience, this is it.
Man, I was going to ask you if you had any final words. I mean, that says it all right there. But I am going to ask you one more question, though.
How you go from final words to one more question?
I am going to ask you one more question.
Let me speak to your manager.
I always got to end with this question, man. I
Okay.
just like this question. So, what's one thing about you that many people may not know that you wish more people knew?
Whew. I can give you two. One is a lot of people don't realize how shy I am because I'm really,
Really?
I'm really an introvert and I'm extremely shy. So like, so when they're like, "You got a nice smile," they don't know that my smile is really just nervous laughter. I'm like nervous. I want to get out of here. So That's the one thing. I'm extremely shy, and I'm definitely an introvert. And the other thing is, I don't think a lot of people know what things hurt my feelings. Like
Mm,
I'm easily my feelings are easily hurt when it comes to certain things, but I push through it. But it doesn't absolve the pain that I still feel.
mm.
And they're like, Jay, you can do this, this, and this. And you're like, I don't want to do this, 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 and that, but you do it. But it doesn't say like it doesn't take away the fact that I'm uncomfortable or I'm in pain.
I would have never known that. Especially
Hence,
the
can I just write?
yeah, especially the shy part. Because
Ooh,
brother, you be on
good
stages,
medication, brother.
stage
Right.
stages, television programs. What is the I always catch like clips of it, but it's something where you live and it's like a call with different
PBS,
so that is a PBS broadcast where you're talking to people.
PBS Black Issues Forum on PBS.
Okay.
That one.
Yeah, yeah. Really dope. Whenever I can catch that, I'm like, man, check this brother is really doing it. And to hear that you're shy, would have never guessed that.
Now, being on the stage is so different. I can't explain it. Like being on the stage, you're one of one, so you kind of by yourself. But being in the crowd is a totally different experience. You're like, ooh, it's people around.
For real?
So it's so
Wow.
weird that
Yeah.
happens. And other introverts talk about that. Like they can go and perform and be done. Like I'm one of them. Like I do what I need to do. Let me go. But when it come down to small talk, I'm like dying slowly.
Well,
Even introduction, like people read your bio, you're like,
yeah.
ooh, what do I do here?
I'm glad I let you introduce yourself then, because man,
Because I just be awkwardly smiling, like, thank you.
wow. Well, yeah, that's definitely something I did not know. Man, I just want to tell you again that I'm proud of you in this book and the work that you're doing. Thank you for taking the time out to come back on the show. Let the people know how they can get a copy of your book, how they can support Love is a Parable, anything you want to share.
Listen, the best way is go to loveisapparable.com. That's I'm sorry, LOVEISAPARABLE. Them A's will get you. It's Love is a Parable. Most people do Love is Parable, but it's loveisapparable.com. And you'll find all things J, all things about the mission work that I do. And the cool thing is, or you can do J, the letter J, period, Dwayne Garnett. Google me. But you can also just do jdwaynegarnett.com and you can find me there. It'll redirect all things. But if you Google J. Dwayne Garnett or if you Google Love is a Parable, all things will come up. And there at the website, you can find Can I Just Write? Or you can go directly to Amazon, type my name in there, J. Dwayne Garnett, and you can see other books too. Because you don't have to just get Can I Just Write now. You can go get the 3 other books that's sitting over there.
Yes.
Matter of fact, you can get the book that the kids wrote. See, the kids wrote a book. I'm joking, but the kids wrote a book too, so you can get their book too. Why? Get all the books because there's a little bit of poetry in all of the books. Come to think about it, so definitely check them out and check me out.
All right.
Check
Yeah.
the books out.
Hey,
Get them all.
y'all heard it. Get them all. I'll have the information in the show description. So check it out. Buy all the books. Support where you can. Share it with somebody. Once again, thank you for coming on. And to my
Thank you
listeners, as
for having
always,
me.
remember, keep pushing forward. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Brown Sugar Cafe podcast. Once again, I'm your host, Terrence P. Elmore, and this is the place where poetry meets conversation. Hit that follow button and turn on your notifications so you won't miss an episode. Check out my blog, thebrownsugarcafe.blog. Also connect with me on Instagram at thebrownsugarcafe. Hope you enjoyed this episode, and as always, remember, keep pushing forward.